What's the solution? Okay, brighter side is what I want to do. Let's spend the last 21 minutes talking about the brighter side. So a few things. Some people are listening to this. They're from California. Like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Whatever you're doing, don't do anything emotionally right now. Like you don't need to do anything next 30, 60, 90 days. Just kick it. We're just having this conversation because it just happened. That's number one.
Information's power.
Yeah. So you just need to have the information. You don't need to emotionally want to all of a sudden say, oh, here's what we're doing. No. My suggestion, number one, start researching nonstop. Whatever you can get your hands on to read, research. And by the way, anytime we're having a podcast and we're having an issue that we're going to debate on the podcast, I try to watch two channels. I'll go to MSNBC, CNN, then I'll go to Fox on the same point. I'll hear what Tucker has to say, then I'll hear what the left has to say, whether it's Joe, whether it's Maddow, Cooper,
Joy
whoever.
Reid.
I just want to see what's being said on both sides. Do your research. Don't just do research from one side. You will be fooled. I'm telling you right now, you will be fooled if you just get your information from one side, okay? So that's that. Second part, if you're in a state, you know this whole story about you put a frog in the water, you start boiling it gradually, he's not going to jump out, and then all of a sudden he's like, it's too late, it's 212 degrees, you're dead, oh shit, I died. Done, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what's happening in California. It's not a big deal. 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 Andy Grove, I'm going to keep saying this, and people say, Pat, I don't think that's the right way to live. How are you going to live a happy life like that? He has the best book he wrote on business that every C-suite executive, founder, entrepreneur needs to leave. Only the paranoid survive. If you're listening to this and you're not in a state called California or New York or Oregon or whatever else you want to call it,
Michigan.
and you're in a place like Texas or Florida, and you're like, oh, thank God I live in Florida. Do not be naive.
Oh, they coming for you, boy.
Do not be naive. This is the war of getting people to think in a certain way, and they are not slowing down. They're going to come after you. The other day I was watching a video of a mother on David Harris's Instagram page. This mother was sharing textbooks of his kids reading these books at 12 years old. And I don't know if you saw that or not. Did you see that?
Yeah,
I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say what was
went
said.
on today. The mayor, I think, because of David Harris, to show you the power of information.
Yeah.
Because of David Harris and his reach, and you shared it, and a bunch of other influential people shared it. The mayor went to the town hall, called a judge, and said, "I've confirmed with the judge that this is child pornography.
Yeah, you will be arrested if you continue to."
And you can either resign your board seat right now."
Yeah.
So this is, again, not to panic.
That's what I'm saying.
This
though.
is the power of information.
What I'm trying to say is stay paranoid. Don't just sit there and say, go
Vigilant.
home tonight
Stay
and
vigilant.
say, babe, thank God we're living in a place like this. Nope, that's not how I'm wired. I still ask the questions. You still got to ask the question. Whatever your kids are going to, ask the question. What did they talk about in school today? What did they talk about in school today? All of a sudden your kid brings an argument home to you. Who brought that up to you? My teacher. What did they say? They said the president is this. They say that white people are this. They said that, rich people are this. Who said that? What makes you believe that? Go to school, talk to the teacher about it. Don't sit around and say, it's not a big deal, babe, just let it go. It's not a big deal yet, let it go. How many times have you heard the story about father saying, my chest hurts. My chest hurts. My chest hurts. It's not a big deal. 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 6 months later, it's a big deal, has a heart attack, the man dies. Your chest was hurting, go to the flipping doctor. You could have prevented that with a blood thinner, you could have lived 30 more years, but we lost you. We don't get those memories for you to go walk your daughter down the aisle. Stop acting as if it cannot happen to you. Everything is about you not being naive, thinking this cannot happen to your county, to your city, to your community, to your state. You have to stay as active as possible in gathering information. Read as much as you can, both sides. Don't be naive. If you do that part, you'll have the highest shot. And by the way, I'll go a little bit even further than that. Here's what I will tell you. Gary Kasparov is at the event 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm talking to Gary. And I said, Gary, you called that Putin in 2008. Do you have any political aspirations? No. I don't want to do any politics. I don't want to do any politics. So what are you talking about? Do you remember when I'm like, what are you talking
backstage,
about? Yeah,
yes,
what are you talking about? Part of this was on stage.
He says, I tweet.
I said, what do you mean you're not going to go run for politics? No, I don't want to go to politics. I said, no, you got to go. You got to do something. You can't just be sitting here writing stuff. You have a story that you can actually... Look at what David Harris is doing with his stuff. He flips. There are people that are flipping today. Even J.P. Sears, the comedian, he's getting people to think because of the approach he's taken. The guy's very important today. J.P. Sears is very necessary today. Who's the most necessary person in America today? Who's the most necessary... Who is... And name the number one most necessary person in America today.
Dave Chappelle.
It's a guy named Joe Rogan.
Rogan.
Okay.
There isn't anybody in America today most necessary than Joe Rogan.
Sure.
Joe has got the same status. Thank God they still haven't come after him to say he's done something.
Oh, they've tried.
I understand, but he's got such a loyal following that the people will go after them. So some people who have never had any aspirations for politics, I think it's time.
Yeah.
Some people who have never had any desires to want to go do anything, and you kind of seen some of the stuff that's really brewing in you, and it's firing you up. Do not waste that fire. Do something with it.
Yeah.
It may be a 5-year plan, it may be a 10-year plan, it may be a 15-year plan, it may be a 20-year plan, but it's time to get the bench deep, because the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, we're going to need some true, solid, true believers who wake up.
Adam, real quick, because sorry, but to his point, I have the perfect example of that. When I was working in the State House in Jersey, there was a nun. All right, and you don't have to run. The whole point of the reason I'm saying this is that he's so right. You don't have to run. You don't even have to donate. You just have to be loud. There was a nun who said there people were drag racing down the block, okay? Down the block. She called the State House every single day. When can we get a speed bump? Okay, I'll call back tomorrow. When can we get a speed bump? One woman. All right, she called for like 32 straight days, and then finally, my boss Gene Ashmore was like, "My God Almighty, somebody just get this lady a freaking speed bump." Yeah. She got the speed bump.
Yeah,
she got the speed bump. That one lady making a phone call every day, she spoke for an entire community and got it done.
Yeah, and I'll validate one other thing that Pat said, that if you think you live in South Dakota, Texas, Florida, Idaho, one of these states where you think you're safe, they're coming for your school board.
My God,
all right? They're infiltrating the core of the apple, right? So they can get these kids now, and they're patient. So don't think it's not happening in your state.
And in your state, you were in Dallas. Go to Deep Ellum. Did it feel like you were in? Did it feel like you were in Texas?
No.
Red Texas.
No.
Go to Houston. Did it feel like you were in Red Texas?
I've interviewed a lot of people in Deep
Ybor
Ellum.
City in Florida. Ybor City could be Brooklyn, New York.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.